Maine Web News is brought to you today by Hearth and Home Realty. Whether you're buying or selling your home, call Hearth and Home Realty at 696-4247 for all of your real estate needs. That's Hearth and Home Realty at 696-4247 on Outer Main Street in Madison.
And now, Maine Web News.
Today's broadcast is a very important one because we're going to talk about media bias and the major role that it plays in Maine politics. Maine Web News often links to the online resources of Bangor Daily News and Maine Today Media because they're often good sources of information. But today, I'm going to play media critic with these publications, and here's why. Sunday, the Bangor Daily News ran this rather misleading headline. 3 Maine papers endorse Cutler, it said. That would lead many to assume that 3 separate newspapers all came to the conclusion that Eliot Cutler is the right man for the job when they know very well that this is not the case. The 3 newspapers they refer to are all owned by one company, Maine Today Media. So it is really one endorsement, not 3 as the Bangor Daily News headline suggests. That might seem a bit trivial, but here's why it's important. Maine Today Media publishes 3 of the largest newspapers in the state of Maine. It also publishes some weekly newspapers and a lot of online information sources. Here is a snapshot of Maine Today Media's universe. They publish the Portland Press Herald, the Kennebec Journal, the Morning Sentinel, the Coastal Journal, RaisingMaine.com, MaineToday.com, MaineWheels.com, MaineRealEstateToday.com, MaineJobs.com, MaineBusiness.com, MaineOutdoorJournal.com, ExploringMaine.com, and MaineYellowPages.com. Independent candidate for Maine Governor Kevin Scott came on Maine Web News over the summer to call attention to the special relationship that Eliot Cutler has with Maine Today Media.
Here, as an independent candidate in the state of Maine, we have media outlets that report on of course, the national parties, without question, and they're favoring one independent. And that one independent has particular relations with the media outlet that's doing the most work to advertise his message.
Eliot Cutler's campaign treasurer sits right on the board of directors at Maine Today Media. Richard Connor, the CEO and editor of Maine Today Media, questioned in the paper yesterday whether or not the paper should even endorse a candidate. However, a lot of people would say that they've been endorsing Eliot Cutler all along. Right after Libby Mitchell and Paul LePage won their primaries, Maine Today Media ran a story that ignored 2 of the 3 independents in the race and declared that Eliot Cutler is a factor in the race. Why would they promote this headline? Why was he being promoted as a factor and the other independents not? Many have suggested that it's because Kevin Scott and Sean Moody don't have a special relationship with Maine Today Media as Eliot Cutler does. Editor and CEO Richard Connor goes on to say that Maine Today Media is not trying to tell people who to vote for. Is that the case? Let's take a look at what Maine Today Media has said about the other candidates. They haven't said much good about Libby Mitchell, who is competing for mostly the same pool of voters as Cutler, the Democrats. On September 15, they raised concerns about Paul LePage's suitability to govern. Is that the same thing as telling people not to vote for him? In Sunday's endorsement piece, they said that Sean Moody was worth mentioning, but they didn't mention Kevin Scott. Was that a snide way of saying Kevin Scott is not worth mentioning, so don't vote for him either? So Richard Connor might be technically correct when he says that Maine Today Media is not trying to tell people who to vote for. But if they are telling people who not to vote for, might that amount to the same thing? So here is some information about Eliot Cutler that Maine Today Media is not likely to report due to its special relationship with the candidate. We urge you to go to www.cutlerfiles.com before you vote for Eliot Cutler. Cutler has complained about this website's existence, but I haven't heard him say the content is inaccurate. Upon my review, it looks like the Cutler Files website is full of information that would be useful to voters. Like this. Cutler has made a lot of money lobbying for China, against Maine, and against the United States, often filling his own pockets while thousands of Maine jobs were shipped overseas. In fact, around the world, Cutler is known as China's lobbyist. He has even represented some of the worst polluting companies in China. CNN has also reported companies that Cutler has represented have shipped many, many jobs overseas. Maine Web News viewers think for themselves. That's why you're watching this program instead of just getting your information from Maine Today Media. We ask you to check the facts on Eliot Cutler, and remember that he has a special relationship with many of these publications that are endorsing him. This is Jared LeBlanc giving you the rest of the story on Maine Web News.
Experience the future of Maine News today at MaineWebNews.com.